Makeup, if you're in your 30s, how does it change and what does it look like? I am 27 years old, so not quite 30 yet, but I am a makeup artist and have been for the last 8 years, which means I apply a lot of makeup on mothers of the bride, which typically have more mature skin, leaning from 30 and older. And some of those brides even are 30, so let's talk about it. You always want to cleanse your skin before applying any kind of makeup, moisturizing, or primers to your skin. That is a non-negotiable. And you want to use something incredibly hydrating. Right here, I'm using the Il Makiage Skin. This is great. It's their Power Lift. It's an anti-aging collagen boosting primer and plumping cream. Really like this moisturizer because it seems to almost have a blurring smoothing technology in it. I am not a huge believer of primers, but if you are someone who's experiencing incredibly oily skin, you might want to use a mattifying primer to try to combat that. If you're someone who's experiencing extremely textured dry skin, you want to use a hydrating primer. Typically for mature skin, it's always going to lean more hydrating. And if you're dealing with maybe pores or texture, a pore filling primer can be really beneficial. One size blurring mattifying primer is one of the best on the market when it comes to oily skin. For hydration, I really would just layer creams and allow that to sink into the skin as best as possible. And then if you're still dealing with texture and pores, you want a pore filling primer. There are things like the smoothing primer from e.l.f. The Tarte Creaseless Concealer is highly rated and reviewed and well loved by many. Of course, there's Professional by Benefit, and then this is the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer Blurring. They have a hydrating one, and I like this one, and I like to put this where I experience my fine lines and texture, and really in no more areas than that. I'm trying to give you a breakdown and a rundown of products that I recommend and use that are in different price ranges for different people. It's pretty rare that people in their 30s are breaking out, and it's also pretty rare that people in their 30s aren't taking their skincare seriously. If you're not taking your skin seriously, definitely start taking your skin seriously. And because of that, you can usually get away with a more sheer coverage. Of course, you can still go full glam, but for the majority of that age group on a day-to-day basis, they're looking for that everyday makeup. So I'm going to recommend two foundations to you, one full coverage and one light to medium coverage that I swear by and love, that are both affordable actually, because they're my tried and true and they're my #1 go-tos. For full coverage, we're talking that the TIRE Compact Foundation needs to be the red one. I haven't tried the others, so I cannot speak for them. And next, the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. This is one of the best foundations on the market, hands down, and for the price, it is literally unbeatable. So if you have pretty good skin naturally, or you've been taking very good care of it very seriously, then you can probably get away with the L'Oreal Infallible. You can build the coverage up on this, but if you're wanting that true shellac, like full coverage, you're gonna wanna lean to TIRE. I'm gonna use the TIRE today just because I have so many foundation routines on this TikTok using the L'Oreal Infallible because she is my #1 tried and true go-to. She's been around for a lot longer. We're going to use the TIRE to show you the coverage today, and also this is linked in my Amazon and on my showcase in my storefront, as well as the other foundation is, so if you're looking for it. This is the shade 25 in Mocha. I could probably get away with a shade lighter, but this is more so my self-tan shade. Sorry about the sun peeking in through my window. Normally I film much earlier in the morning, but life has been chaotic and I have a lot to catch you guys up. As you can see, I don't have too much product on here, and it literally covered my entire face, and it's helping to even cover my freckles, redness, dark spots, and marks. So like I said, this is a very thin skincare-like foundation. It's incredible, the technology in here. Like, Korea they really know what they're doing when it comes to skincare and makeup, and it being very like skin-like. And we're doing light layers, and because this foundation is so full coverage with such a thin skin-like finish, we're able to put on more layers and get away with adding more product to our skin without it building up and caking up into our fine lines or wrinkles if we have mature skin, you guys. That sponge just doesn't do it for you. Still apply it with that sponge because it doesn't soak up any product, which is what helps you get that full coverage that is just flawless and seamless. But again, maybe you're struggling. A damp sponge completely drained of all its water, go over that gently and soak up that extra product that tries to seep into your fine lines. I'm gonna go do that now. I need to wash her. This is a great trick for that more mature skin, or if you feel like you just struggle with applying foundation in general and you can never get it to look like even and just smooth and flawless. Like, I have no filters on right now. I'm just sitting in my beauty room here, and you can see a little bit of demarcation where my hairline is. I'm not too worried about that because this is just for demonstration purposes, but going over here and soaking up this extra product is just going to make this look really flawless. And I have texture because that's normal, you know, like we all do. We all have texture of some sort, but to help to avoid the larger textured areas. That is what that moisturization and those primers are for. Now, when it comes to the under eye, if you have a super, super dry under eye, you should have prepped with an under eye cream. My absolute favorite is the Kiehl's Creamy Avocado Eye Treatment, but any one will do if you don't have the funds to afford that one. And the e.l.f. one is really good. Just make sure it's formulated for underneath the eye. You're going to put that on when you put your moisturizer on so it can really, really soak into the skin and have plenty of time to do so. Then we're going to talk about concealer. So now your under eye has had plenty of time to hydrate, and the Haus Labs concealer is so hydrating. I really want to get my hands on the Natasha Denona concealer because I have heard amazing things about that one, but personally have not used it yet. Now, I like to mix this one because it is a little bit too dark for me. I definitely just ordered the wrong shade, and that's on me, and I like a bit of a brighter under eye. But if you're not going for the 2016 look because maybe you're in your 30s and you're not into that, or maybe you're in your 30s and you're just like me and grew up on YouTube and you are into that and you do want a bright under eye, we're going to mix a little bit of the Tarte Shape Tape with this to brighten it up. But this concealer is so hydrating that you need quite a bit of it to set the under eye. It is a little bit of a thicker formula for it being so hydrating. It's a really cool technology, and I do really love the concealer, but I do want a little bit of a bright under eye, which is why I'm adding a little bit of the Tarte Shape Tape. And then I'm going to blend this out with a sponge, not a brush, because this is going to soak up additional product. So it's going to give me that really, really flawless airbrush type of base, no matter what kind of skin I have, but especially if I have mature skin. My mom is almost 45 and I do her makeup often, and I'm using a lot of tips and telling you a lot of things that I do when I do her makeup. Now, another thing is the whole launch and trend and craze of the liquid blushes right now are perfect for you because the more liquid, the better. Of course, you want to set all of this with a powder, but you can easily set all of these with a very finely milled powder and still get that hydration that your skin is lacking from these makeup products without drying your skin out too much, and then setting your base so that it lasts. Now, cream blushes are good too, but I truly prefer a liquid blush. So grab your favorite, whether it's the Rare Beauty or the Huda Beauty. These are my favorite. That's what I'm going to be using today, but e.l.f. also has some great dupes, and they're liquid blushes, so they're going to blend and sheer out on the skin and look and wear just as if like they were skin, versus if you powder your whole face and then you add a powder blush, you're going to have a lot harder of a time because it's going to start layering up. If you want things to be more pigmented and less sheer, of course, you can easily set your under eyes and the middle of your face with your translucent powder, and then go over your blush and your bronzer with powder, blush, and bronzer. But if powder scares you, or you want more of a natural thing, then just set your under eye and your forehead and just like the inner parts of your face where it gets greasy and moves the most. Again, cream bronzer is going to be your best friend, but you can set everything too and just add a powdered bronzer. And I suggest, I'm running out of time here. As you get older, you start to lose definition in the face. So when it comes to the cream bronzer that you're going to use and where you're going to apply it, you want something to be a little bit more cooler toned because we're going to mimic a shadow and we want to bring that shape back to the face. So I'm actually just going to put it like right here and then blend it out from there. So instead of applying a streak like this, I'm just applying it directly underneath the high points of my cheeks. And once I have this blended in, then I'll kind of shear it out and go around the edges so that it's fully blended, and it's going to give me that lift to my cheek. Do you see that right there? That is a timeless classic way to wear your bronzer that is never going to go out of style and is going to complement your skin and your age. Let me know if you have any questions.